Alright guys, so this is where we left off. Marius is very popular with the people, but then he ultimately retires after having some political gains and whatnot. Then his second in command, Lucius Sulla, is in charge, and we see during his leadership the Italian allies of Rome wanting citizenship, and this is known as the Social War, in which there are over 300,000 casualties. Ultimately, Rome did win this war, but the rebels won citizenship. So it almost seemed like kind of a waste of time or a draw, right? But after leading Rome to victory, Lucius Sulla becomes consul, and he's very popular, but he's Senate supported. The Senate has thrown their weight behind him, which at this point has become slightly troubling. The Senate is concerned about the possible rise of a tyrant, of a monarchy. They're just a little bit concerned. You know, what is Lucius Sulla going to do? So out of this concern, the Senate contacts Marius, and they ask him, "Hey, you want to come out of retirement?" And he's like, "Yeah." So he comes in and attempts to take power for himself. But Lucius Sulla he's not going to put up with this. And so Sulla does the absolute unthinkable, and he takes a Roman army and he marches on the city of Rome. Now, once again, there's a drastic change in values that we'll go over in more detail in just a moment that's taking place here. This is incredibly significant. So when Sulla arrives, he either kills or he exiles all of his political opponents, and we see civil war lasting for 2 years. Sulla became dictator. That was an emergency title, a title really for use during a time when there needed to be like one point man, right? The one person who makes decisions. So Sulla takes this title, and when peace is restored, he retires to a quiet life, and in many ways just kind of becomes a farmer. But these changes in values that we see, these are, once again, just drastic transformations. So war is no longer for defense. Now it's for gaining plunder. It's for getting glory. It's for getting fame. It's for getting money. It's not about protecting the Republic. It's about selfish ambition and selfish gain, which goes along with that last point there. The competition for power is no longer about seeking the community's welfare. It's about selfish ambition and selfish gain, and what can I get out of this? The traditional value of placing the Republic above your personal interests, that of virtus, it completely falls away. Soldiers are much more loyal to their general than they are to the Republic. So this is, once again, this is something that's just going to change Rome in the twilight of the Republic as we're making our way to the Roman Empire. So upon Sulla's retirement, eventually we get to the point to where we have the first triumvirate, or group of 3. And this is where Julius Caesar comes in. Julius Caesar is incredibly popular with the people. He's had several really great military victories, and he's just really, really popular. Pompey is Senate supported. He's also a general who's had great victories. So he's also, he's well known, let's say that, but the people don't support him nearly like what they do Caesar. And then we have Crassus. And Crassus, you know, another general, another guy who has had some victories, but he's a wealthy businessman. So he's kind of going to go with whoever is going to let him, you know, keep making money. But Julius Caesar is seen as a terrible threat to the Republic, at least by the Senate. And so the Senate asks Pompey if he would like to be sole consul. And of course he says yes. But Julius Caesar, thinking very highly of himself, says, "Excuse me? Oh, no, you had not," right? So Pompey takes off. He runs away, and he runs to Egypt. where he is assassinated. And Julius Caesar is in hot pursuit. Like, he is on his way to come get Pompey, and Pompey's killed just before he gets there. But when he arrives, there's a contest for power in Egypt between Cleopatra and her brother. And ultimately, Caesar throws the weight of Rome's support behind Cleopatra. Cleopatra was considered very, very beautiful. She was highly intelligent. She spoke and could read and write in like 7 languages fluently. In some ways, a military strategist. She was just a very interesting historical figure. But she definitely understood how to use her womanly ways. And so she and Caesar wound up having a child together. And this threatens the Senate even more because Caesar, in many ways, has kind of done this on his own. He's made a political alliance and now a very intimate alliance with Egypt. And they have a child. What does this mean? Julius Caesar comes back and declares himself dictator for life. Now, this is, reserved for temporary emergencies. This is not something that someone can take on. He's basically declaring himself king. And the Romans don't like this. They're very concerned about this. And so, with his power, and once again, read through Suetonius's Life of Caesar. With this power, he's seen as abusing his power, and some people thought he was great. Some people, definitely did not. And there's 60 senators who get together and they conspire against Caesar. And the legend goes that at the foot of Pompey's statue, Caesar bled to death from the very many stab wounds he received from those senators who conspired against him. But with his death, the senators really didn't plan for much else. So really at this point, we see the end of the Republic and the beginning of the Roman Empire. Once again, this is the same map we looked at earlier, with the exception of that which is in the sort of light orange all through here with Egypt, with Gaul, over here in Asia Minor. All of that is what is gained up to the point of Caesar's death in 44 BCE. Our main conclusions is that the Roman Republic is marked by very quick expansion, mostly by absorbing outsiders, and also its violent disintegration. Starting really with the Gracchi, with the Gracchus brothers, moving on down into Caesar's murder. The Roman army, really unstoppable because of its willingness to lose both life and property. However, long military service did ruin farming families. Therefore, we see more poor people developing a very strong political faction. In many ways, they become, kind of think of them like a voting bloc, right? And then we also see with the Roman army successful generals acting as patrons to their armies, which basically become clients. Lastly, we see the Republic really being marked by violence and murder, which become quite common in political disputes. And when we move into the Roman Empire, we are going to see this political violence sort of exasperated tenfold. So don't forget to read Suetonius, The Life of Caesar, and complete your writing activity. It is due on Thursday. So God bless you. Hope you have a good evening.